Welcome back to my quilt room. I'm anxious today to show you a couple of projects that have been completed. Now, if you follow me, you know that I've been learning to do quilt as you go, a block at a time. And so I want to show you a quilt pattern, and it's called the Toss 9 patch, and I'll show you how I put those blocks together. This is my completed quilt. And I made it from one layer cake. It's called Parlor Room from Connecting Threads. Now, I'm not endorsed by Connecting Threads, just so you know. But I'm really proud of it, and I think it turned out really nice. And I quilted it just in the largest zigzag that I had, that I could go as wide as I could on my baby lock. And each block, I did one going up and down and the other one going across sideways, because I knew I wanted to join the blocks without any sashing in the middle. The sashing is on the back side, and I'll show you that. But I wanted that to be a way to keep the lines of the quilting from having to match. Now, this is the back, and I decided to make my sashing the same gold color that I used as my accent in my Toss 9 patch. And these are the strips that I made to join my blocks together on the back. And so each block was quilted, and then they were sewn together. I'm going to show you that. And the same with the border. The border was all quilted with the backing, and then I added it and did the sashing across, just like each block. The quilt, it turned out to be 58 by 71.5 inches. So this is a really nice size throw. Here is an extra block that I had. I picked through my colors out of the layer cake and decided to take this one out because it was very light. But this is, and I'm going to show you how to put that together. So from the layer cake, I cut them into 4 5-inch squares. So I took my layer cake, which is a 10-inch square, and I cut it in half both directions. And what I did, you'll pick, if you want to make this scrappy, this is a box I have, and it's just filled full of 5-inch squares where I have cut up my scraps. Or you can purchase a charm pack, and to equal a layer cake, it would need 40 or 42 squares, and you would need 4 packs of those. The only thing I added, like I said, was I added the gold as an accent in the middle. So you will pick out 9 of your square. You'll pick out 8, and if you have a particular color you want to be your accent, for this example, the black is the accent in the middle. And you will sew them in 3 rows of 3, and then you will cut them in half like this. And what you'll want to do is flip 2 of those so that you have an accent going to the outside and then to the inside. And then as a large 4 patch, you will sew these together, 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then you will take that row and sew it on top of this row, and it will give you a block like this. The only thing you need to do is be sure that when you turn your blocks as you're making them, that you're consistent in which 2 blocks you turn. So then you have the block made, and you're going to quilt it as you go. I have taken some scrap batting and I have cut the back. Now you're going to have to trim these and square them up to size after you quilt your block. So I've pinned it down. I didn't even use any spray basting in here because the block is manageable enough. I felt like without adding any more glue to it. So you would quilt. This is what I did. I took a friction pen and a Post-it, and I used an ink pen and a Post-it note. And I pinned that the lines on this block will be going up. The lines on this block I will be quilting across, so that I remembered how to put it together. Now, like I said, if you want sashing on the front of your quilt, you would stitch these together and then press where your two blocks came together out. You'll quilt them and then trim it, and then take your sashing. What did I do with my little light colored? Here they are. This is a 2-inch strip of fabric, and I folded it in half and I ironed it out, and then I folded each edge inside. I used just a little bit of this clear Elmer's glue and I dabbed it on there. Went back over it with the iron just to hold it in place to make it easier to stitch over the top of where my two blocks are joined together. And you can see that here. What I did was I joined these facing together through all the layers, and then I opened out the seam in the middle between the blocks, and I used, these were 1 inch, I think, and a half that I folded. Same procedure. Now if you want, there's a product, and it's this Stitch Witch hem tape, they may call it, but you can put a little line of that in there and use your iron over it, and it'll hold it together for you. And you're simply going to put this right over the top of where you joined your two blocks together and stitch it down. And you can see I stitched as close to the edge there as I could get. And in retrospect, I wish that I would have made my strips a little bit wider, like I did in this example to show you. And then I would have, instead of using a straight line, where I have a little bit more room with the strip being a little wider, you can see the almost like serpentine stitch here. I would have done that on the side, so that on the top of the quilt where it comes together, these are straight lines and the rest are the wavy lines. Maybe you really don't notice it, but it's just something that I'm learning as I'm learning to do this block and quilt it as you go. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I actually used a variegated thread to quilt it, and I'm trying to remember where I bought this variegated thread, but this color was called, I believe, Toasted Caramel. And with the colors of the fabrics that were in the layer cake, and then using the gold accent, I think the thread color came out beautiful. Now on the back side, I did use a teal colored thread in my bobbin because I didn't want to show a different color thread on the back. I wanted it to blend in. And so I did use a teal thread in the bobbin. But I'm quite happy with how it came out. This is a really easy block to do if you want to use up a bunch of scraps, or you have charm packs that you don't know what to do with. You could easily do a toss 9 patch. Now, another one that's been finished that I worked on, this pattern of the quilt that's hanging up behind me is called Flea Market Flowers. And it's a pattern by Lori Holt. She has a blog post, Bee in My Bonnet. So if you want to find the guide to each of the flowers and how to put the quilt together, you can find that on her blog post. But these were scraps that I had from other projects, and I'm really happy with how it came out. It was hand quilted by the group that I hand quilt with. And on the back, I like this back print. I found this a long time ago, and I bought the whole bolt of it. And it took nearly the whole bolt, about 8 yards, to do the back of this. And it's got all kinds of flower seeds. And it looks like newspaper print. And I thought it was so pretty. And that's what's on the back of the quilt. It came out, I think this is 76 inches wide by like 86 inches long. So if you like that pattern and you'd like to do lots of applique, check out Lori Holt, Bee in My Bonnet blog post. So I hope that you will try quilting as you go, a block at a time, and let me know how your projects come out. Until the next time, we'll see you later.